The certified letter landed in my mailbox on a frosty Tuesday morning, demanding $52,000 in fines for living in a home I'd owned for 14 years, free and clear, the absurdity being I wasn't even part of their HOA. Picture me in my kitchen, coffee mug steaming, staring at legal jargon that might as well have been scrawled in crayon, while Susan Hargrove, the HOA queen of Maplewood Heights, stood across Maple Brook on her immaculate lawn, pointing at my house like a general directing a siege, her manicured nails glinting with menace. She had no clue she'd just sparked a war sheet. Lose in 3 minutes flat. I dismantled her empire with evidence that left her speechless. And this is the tale of how a suburban tyrant met her downfall at the hands of a determined vet. My name's Nathan Brooks, a 42-year-old Iraq veteran turned welder and carpenter, and 14 years ago, after 3 grueling tours, I used my VA loan to claim 2.7 acres of raw liberty on the old Langford Farm in Oregon, a weathered 1960s bungalow sitting beyond Maple Brook, a natural moat shielding me from the suffocating conformity of Maplewood Heights' 240 homes, each worth $500,000, where lawns were measured with rulers and leaf blowers droned every Tuesday at dawn, the air thick with chemical fertilizer fumes, a stark contrast to my plot's piney scent of freedom, where my workshop, rich with oil and sawdust, became my sanctuary post-divorce, a place to rebuild alongside my 17-year-old son, Caleb, who fished the brook and thrived away from the shadows of my deployments. Then came Susan Hargrove, 54, her black Audi gleaming like a polished trophy, ruling her $900,000 mansion like a dictator with a yardstick, her husband Victor, a district zoning official, lending a corrupt edge to her reign, turning my slice of the American dream into a battlefield. What would you do if someone tried to bully you into an HOA you never joined? Drop your wildest HOA horror story in the comments. I bet mine tops them all. And tell me, where are you watching from? Let's see how many are fighting neighborhood tyrants right now. The war began at my mailbox. Susan S. designer heels crunching gravel, her clipboard clutched like a weapon, declaring my workshop violated community standards. And when I pointed across the gurgling Maple Brook, saying, "Ma'am, I'm not in your HOA," her icy grin hissed. "We'll see about that." For 18 months, she waged psychological warfare, timing my welding jobs with military precision, photographing every visitor, her binoculars glinting from her window like a sniper's scope, and during Caleb's 17th birthday barbecue, grilled burgers, music till 10 p.m. Fully legal, she called the cops twice, officers finding no violations, one grabbing a soda and chuckling at the tamest disturbance he'd seen. But the next morning, a violation notice appeared under my truck's wiper, printed on heavy legal paper that felt like a thread in my hands, listing my shed, fence, and gravel driveway as unapproved modifications, each carrying a $600 fine, totaling thousands. Caleb, reading it over breakfast, said, "Dad, she's lost her mind." And I sipped my coffee, staring across the brook at Susan S. fortress, its lawn an unnatural green, whispering to the morning air, "You picked the wrong fight, lady," knowing she bet I'd crumble like others she'd bullied into submission. Pay up, tear down my shed, or flee. But she hadn't checked county records, where my deed, predating her HOA by 35 years, sat like a legal landmine waiting to detonate. Sipping coffee by Maple Brook, its waters catching the dawn's golden light, I plotted my counterstrike, heading to the county courthouse, a place reeking of musty files and decades of property disputes, where my 1968 deed confirmed 2.7 acres, with Maple Brook as a clear, unyielding boundary, placing me 47 feet outside Maplewood Heights jurisdiction. And a call to the HOA management firm got a flustered clerk, after 3 holds, admitting, "No record of your address, sir," like explaining gravity to a toddler. But Susan refused to accept reality, escalating with her brother-in-law Vic, a shifty part-time surveyor in a cheap orange vest, planting fake stakes on my land, claiming brook migration had shifted boundaries, and I held up my county-certified survey, the paper crisp in my hands, saying, "Water doesn't rewrite deeds, pal." His stammered excuse fading as he fled in his rusty pickup. Over tea in Mrs. Ellis's kitchen, The 85-year-old neighbor's space warm with the scent of vanilla and secrets. She dropped a bombshell. Your land was excluded from Maplewood Heights for flood zone reasons, she said, stirring sugar with deliberate care. But Victor Hargrove pushed the subdivision through. Anyway, his construction firm built 65% of those homes, a neon sign of corruption blinking in my mind, the conflict of interest so blatant it could have been a billboard. Allies emerged like a resistance movement in the shadows. The Lopez family, forced out by $9,000 in bogus fines, whispering rebellion in the grocery store's produce aisle, the smell of apples mingling with defiance. And the Chen family, foreclosed after legal fees piled up from Susan's relentless harassment, while her whisper campaign on the Maplewood Neighbors Facebook group painted my workshop as a property value sinkhole, a hazard to her perfect suburbia. Her sabotage turned physical. Roofing nails scattered across my driveway punctured my work truck's tires, the acrid smell of rubber and betrayal lingering as I swept them up, and Caleb's car was keyed with leave in jagged scratches, the metallic tang stinging as he fought back tears, my welding contracts dropping 35% after. Anonymous calls warned clients of unlicensed work. My security cameras catching Susan at 4 a.m., planting stakes, her silhouette stark against the dawn's glow. Her lawsuit was her boldest move yet, demanding $52,000, claiming I'd implicitly joined the HOA by owning land near Maple Brook, which she insisted had shifted, the audacity so stunning it was almost art. And in my workshop, our war room took shape, the air thick with coffee and sawdust, as attorney Rachel Klein, a veterans' rights specialist with a laugh like a grenade, reviewed Susan's suit, saying, "This is harassment dressed in legal paper," her office smelling of leather and justice. Mrs. Ellis provided cassette tapes from years of HOA meetings, her ancient recorder capturing Susan's voice. Blue-collar types can't afford lawyers. Keep the pressure on till he breaks. Chilling evidence of her predatory tactics, while a professional surveyor confirmed my boundary. An engineer proved the flood zone exclusion was deliberate, and Tina Wells, a Lopez ally and accountant, uncovered $58,000 embezzled, fake landscaping repairs, offshore accounts in the Caymans, with a clear pattern of discrimination. Immigrants faced 380% more violations, veterans like me harassed relentlessly, the FBI sniffing RICO charges for fraud, conspiracy, and extortion. Susan offered $18,000 to settle, her desperation reeking like overdone perfume, but I refused, and her vandalism surged. Cut power lines left a burnt wire stench in my workshop. Threatening flyers hit mailboxes accusing me of endangering children, and Caleb, shaken by the escalating threats, moved to Mrs. Ellis for safety, his fear hardening my resolve like steel. In a forge, Rachel filing to dismiss Susan's suit while countersuing for harassment, business interference, and conspiracy, local media running HOA fraud exposed with damning headlines. And Susan's public meltdown in a store, screaming about deep state plots, her pearls bouncing as shoppers filmed, going viral, racking up 200,000 views in hours, her empire cracking as she forged meeting minutes, tried fake $2,000 emergency assessments, and attempted a desperate loan on HOA land with forged signatures, each move tightening the noose she'd woven herself, her paranoia leading to frantic shredding of documents, filmed by a neighbor walking their dog. The mechanical were echoing like her unraveling mind, and calls to allies warning them of conspiracies, but the dam was breaking, her supporters fleeing as the truth spread like wildfire through the Facebook group. The county hearing was a powder keg, 240 residents crammed into the community center, the air heavy with burnt coffee and anticipation, news cameras rolling as investigative reporter Sarah Morgan's expose, HOA tyrant's fraud scheme, hit the internet that morning, viral by noon with 300,000 hits. Susan arriving in a tailored suit, her PowerPoint a slick plea about protecting property values. My workshop photoshopped into a junkyard, her 3 remaining loyalists sitting like doomed lieutenants, the rest having joined our side or fled, and I stood, no badge, just a vet with truth, saying, My 1968 deed predates your HOA by 35 years, projecting the survey, 47 feet of maple. Brook *** clear as law. The engineer debunking her Brook shift claim. Water doesn't rewrite boundaries. Mrs. Ellis' tape chilling the room with Susan's voice confessing, he'll never fight. Workers can't afford it. A handwriting expert exposing forged incorporation papers. A dead owner's signature dated 6 months post-mortem. And Tina Wells revealing $58,000 siphoned for Susan's Audi lease, luxury vacations, and legal wars, the evidence piling up like a landslide. Susan snapped, grabbing the microphone, shrieking, "This is a conspiracy. Radicals are ruining our suburb." Her voice cracking as she accused the commission of corruption, the chair's gavel pounding like thunder, security dragging her out amid boos, her pearls catching the light like a fallen crown, the room erupting in gasps and cheers, the unanimous vote delivering a death blow. Maplewood Heights' HOA was fraudulent, dissolved on the spot, all fines and liens voided. Brook remediation ordered, and criminal referrals sent to the district attorney for fraud, conspiracy, and extortion, the crowd's applause thundering as Susan's reign ended in humiliation. 6 months later, Maple Brook sparkled under the fireworks of Liberty Fest, 280 neighbors celebrating freedom. Susan sentenced to 24 months probation and $480,000 in restitution. Her McMansion foreclosed, Victor fired from his zoning post, divorced, his construction firm bankrupt after clients fled, my countersuit victory funding Caleb's college dreams with enough left to rebuild my workshop bigger. The voluntary Maplewood Neighbors Association, led by Mrs. Ellis, slashing dues 60% and boosting home values 17%, my workshop transformed into a community hub for potlucks, the air alive with laughter, grilled meat, and the clink of soda cans, a scholarship funded by Susan's penalties sending local kids to study housing rights law, and the brook, now free of chemical runoff, welcoming back herons and otters, their calls mingling with kids swinging on ropes under starlit skies, a community reborn from the ashes of tyranny, but was dissolving. The HOA too drastic, or the only way to uproot a corrupt system that preyed on the vulnerable? Share your thoughts on dismantling broken structures versus reforming them. What restores trust when power fractures a neighborhood? Drop your wildest HOA horror stories in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe for more epic takedowns of petty tyrants. And let's hear your take on justice. In community conflicts, what's the right balance between punishment and redemption?